So, you got isekai'd into the world of Sousou no Frieren. Happens to the best of us. And it's not that bad at all, really. You could have been sent to 40k or have become a sentient vending machine, so this is a pretty good deal no matter how you look at it. Now, you've been reincarnated as an influential figure, maybe even a noble of some variety, in the central lands of the no-name continent. But you're still not happy with your lot in life. While you may be a proficient mage, you were meant for bigger and better things. You want to rule a kingdom, nay, an empire. But one of the biggest obstacles you'll face, apart from geographic obstacles and limitations, political maneuverings, resource gathering and allocation, to name a few, is that you don't have an army big or powerful enough to take on most of your neighbors. Well, this is a guide on how to create the most powerful army of mages the world of, Frieren has ever seen. And in a mere decade or so, at most. Let's get into it. So, as was pretty spectacularly established, magic is about imagination. If you can imagine yourself doing something, you can do it. Kind of, that's not entirely accurate. You actually need a total of 4 things before you can get to that particular stage of Übermensch. First of all, in order to even enter the realm of being able to will things into existence, you need to have an aptitude for magic. Most likely whichever kind of magic Frieren, Fern, and the majority of the rest of the characters use, which I will refer to as arcane magic since it's another one of those things that was never properly given a name. In other words, this does not necessarily apply to goddess magic or curse magic, since while we're not entirely sure how those two differ from arcane magic, we do know that they do. But rest assured, that shouldn't pose a problem, considering arcane magic practitioners seem to make up the bulk of all spellcasters. The second thing you'll need are the means. What we therefore need next are children, preferably about the same age as Chibi Fern or maybe even a bit younger, of at least minor aptitude for the arcane arts, and have them start practicing from a fairly young age. Similar to Fern, you don't really need to teach them any other magic apart from Zoltrak, or however you pronounce that. We want to keep things as efficient as possible. As one of the simplest yet most effective offensive spells, Zoltrak will give our up-and-coming army of mages the means to become unstoppable killing machines. Now come our third and fourth hurdles, which, while being closely connected, are not the same thing. The third thing we need to foster in the minds of our Killakinda is imagination. As they attend their magic studies, they must also undergo minor to moderate psychological conditioning. See, what you want them to realize is that as soon as they've fully mastered Zoltrak, they will have become an unstoppable force of destruction. You really want to get the point across that there's nothing that can stop Zoltrak. As far as they're concerned, and as far as you'll show them, it's an unblockable spell that dismantles all matter it comes into contact with, physical or magical. You really want them to be able to imagine Zoltrak as a railgun that, once mastered, will be able to obliterate anything in its path. Finally, the last thing you'll need to 1984 into them is conviction. You see, while magic does require imagination of varying degree, depending on magic in question, some things are much easier to imagine than others, hence why we're sticking solely to Zoltrak. What really is needed to bridge that gap between imagination and reality is conviction. A mage must not only be able to imagine a certain result, but also be entirely convinced that it will occur. While a mage may be able to imagine themselves flying through the air, having seen a bird or perhaps even another mage do it, without access to a spell which actually provides flight, they simply won't be able to fully convince themselves that they are indeed capable of it. As Ubel has shown us by doing the mage equivalent of cutting ceramite with a sharp sword, as long as you have the aptitude to cast arcane magic, have the means, as in Zoltrak, to produce a certain result, as in the obliteration of anything in its path, can imagine it producing said result and believe that it will and should happen more than the other guy does, and of course have the skill to execute it, i.e. the opponent doesn't dodge or you miss, it will happen. With these simple steps, you can create a unit of brainwashed mages capable of piercing the defenses of any warrior, mage, monster, or demon. Frieren the Slayer included. Have fun becoming the new emperor of man and man-adjacent kind. Oh, and if you're asking yourself why it didn't work for Qual, considering he should have met all the aforementioned criteria, having fully expected a human killing Zoltrak to kill humans, yet nonetheless being fairly easily blocked, it either has something to do with him being a demon, or it's an inconsistency.